Have you ever wondered where a man goes when his heart breaks? He doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He just walks into the bathroom, locks the door, and sits. Quiet, still, like the silence could somehow hold him together. Sometimes a man's silence is louder than any storm. We don't often see men's emotions rise like waves, but that doesn't mean they aren't crashing beneath the surface. Just because he looks composed doesn't mean he's whole. And sometimes the man who says nothing is the one feeling everything. If you've ever witnessed a man so quiet it unsettled you, you might have been standing in the middle of his emotional hurricane. Part 1. The Unnamed Loss. When a man loses the woman he once loved, whether through divorce or heartbreak, it's not just a partner he loses. He loses a piece of himself, a version of his life he thought would always be there, a future he built quietly, with hope tucked into the corners of ordinary days. And when it crumbles, there's no ceremony, no loud goodbye, just a quiet collapse where the echoes stay long after she's gone. In Colorado Springs, there's a man named James. He's 42, a structural engineer, a steady father. He was married for 11 years, the kind of years that feel both slow and too fast, filled with school pickups, weekend chores, and seasonal rituals that made a life. Now, those rituals are gone. She left, not with a bang, but with the exhaustion of too many fights that never found their resolution. James didn't yell. He didn't throw things or drink himself into oblivion. He just disappeared into himself. Every day, during lunch, he walks to his car. Same parking spot. Same old playlist. He sits there, alone, with the same song looping, the one that used to make her smile when they first met. Outside, it's often raining. Inside, it's always grey. He watches the droplets trail down the windshield like a language he used to understand but now can't read. He told someone once in a whisper, "I feel like I've been buried alive, but I still have to smile for my daughter every night." That's the kind of grief we don't talk about, when you're expected to function, to show up, to tie her shoelaces and pack her lunch while your own soul is unbuttoning itself in silence. There's a certain kind of heartbreak that doesn't show. No bandages, no dramatic scenes, just a man sitting in a parked car trying to find his way back to himself. Have you ever sat alone like that? Just you, the rain, and a feeling you couldn't name? If you have, you're not alone. And maybe, just maybe, sharing it out loud is the first step out of the silence. Part 2. Anger wrapped in politeness. Men are taught to control their anger, to man up as if silence were strength and emotion a flaw. They're told to stay composed, to stay rational, to never let the storm show. But when you bottle the tide long enough, it doesn't disappear. It leaks, through a look, through clenched jaws, through perfectly measured words that cut deeper than any scream ever could. Marcus, a physician in Texas, understood that too well. After his divorce, he didn't shout. He didn't make scenes. He composed emails, neatly written, logically sound, and soaked in quiet cruelty. He dissected conversations, highlighted contradictions, replayed past decisions like a prosecutor in court. Each sentence looked reasonable, calm. But beneath that calm was a fury that had nowhere else to go. He never called her names. He never raised his voice. But his words bruised all the same. Precision became punishment. Logic became his sword. And every time he hit send, it wasn't about winning. It was about not drowning. He said once to a friend who asked if he was still angry at her, "No, I'm angry at me. for not stopping it, for not seeing it sooner, for believing I was enough. That's the secret no one talks about. Sometimes the anger isn't even about the person who left. It's about the version of yourself that let it all fall apart. And when that guilt turns inward, when it festers without light, it turns sharp and outward, not as rage, but as restraint weaponized. There's a particular danger in the kind of man who never explodes, only hardens. Because what he's feeling never fades, it only finds quieter ways to survive. So ask yourself, when you feel that fire rising beneath your skin, who are you really angry at? Her, the world, or the part of you that stayed silent too long, that didn't fight harder, love better, leave sooner? Anger will always find a way out, whether through fire or frost. And sometimes the coldest men are the ones still burning inside. Part 3. Guilt. The silent enemy. There's a feeling no one warns men about after divorce. Not anger, not sadness, but guilt. It doesn't scream. It doesn't break things. It just sits quietly, like a weight on the chest, pressing harder with every breath. Whether you are the one who left or the one left behind, guilt finds a way to creep in, and it doesn't care about logic. It only whispers, "You should have done more." In San Diego, there's a man named Ethan. He was a devoted software architect, someone who believed that building a good life meant long hours, stable income, and steady routines. But somewhere between deadlines and boardrooms, his marriage fell through the cracks. He didn't cheat. He didn't fight. He simply wasn't there, not fully. And one day, she said she was done, quietly, as if it had been over for a long time already. But what haunted him wasn't her goodbye. It was a question from his daughter, just 8 years old, sitting across the dinner table with a fork in her hand and a tremble in her voice. "Daddy, do you still love Mommy?" That moment broke something in him, because there was no clean answer, no gentle truth, just a wave of guilt so sharp it cut straight through his breath. He says now, "I didn't know it was possible to feel like a villain in your own home without doing anything cruel." And that's the truth, isn't it? Guilt doesn't need you to be wrong. It just needs you to wonder if you could have been better. He wakes up some mornings and avoids the mirror, not because he hates himself, but because facing his own eyes feels like a confrontation, like he's being asked to explain why he let go of the thing he promised to protect. If you've ever felt that, like the air itself punishes you for your choices, you're not broken. You're human. And maybe it's time we let men say that out loud, without shame, without pretending. Have you ever carried guilt so heavy it changed the shape of your day? If you have, say it here. We're listening. Part 4. Walking through the storm. Not strength, but truth. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You don't have to plaster a smile across your face and say you're fine when every bone in your body aches with truth. Strength isn't about denial. It's about honesty. Saying, "I'm okay," doesn't stitch the wound. It just hides it. And hidden wounds don't heal. They fester. The real courage lies in sitting down with your own pain, in naming it, in letting it breathe. Because when you call it by its name, it loses some of its power to haunt you in the dark. There's a quiet kind of bravery in whispering to yourself, "I'm hurting." In writing down 3 feelings that claw at your chest, even if the words feel ugly or weak. In picking up the phone to call the one friend you can trust, not to flinch at your truth. In stepping outside for a 30-minute walk, not to escape, but to listen, to the sound of your footsteps, to the rhythm of your breath, to the soft voice inside that you've been drowning out with noise. Sometimes the simplest acts are the ones that tether you to life when you feel untethered. Facing your pain doesn't make you weak. It means you're still alive enough to feel, alive enough to heal. The storm inside you isn't a sign you're broken. It's proof there's something within you worth saving. You don't have to solve everything tonight. You don't have to know how long it will take. You just have to let yourself be exactly where you are without shame. Pain doesn't kill you, but running from it can make you forget who you once were. So stay. Stay with your heartache. Stay with the truth of it. And know that one day the storm will pass. And when it does, you'll find pieces of yourself you thought were lost, waiting quietly to be claimed. Part 5. The Healing Journey Without a Map. Healing doesn't follow a straight road. There isn't a map, a timeline, or a clear set of instructions to guide you back to yourself. Each man's path looks different. Some are jagged, some are slow and winding, some double back before they move forward. But one thing is certain, you don't have to walk it alone. In Seattle, there's a small group called Father Reborn. They meet in a borrowed church basement on Thursday nights. No one lectures. No one argues about who was right or wrong. They sit in a circle of mismatched chairs, coffee cups in hand, and they tell their stories. Sometimes it's about missing their kids on weekends they don't have custody. Sometimes it's about the quiet house that feels too big at night. And sometimes they just sit in silence together, and that silence says more than words ever could. One man there put it simply, "We're not here to win our wives back. We're here to find ourselves again." That's the truth of it. Healing isn't about undoing the past. It's about reclaiming the pieces of you that were never defined by someone else's presence. If you've been searching for a sign, maybe this is it. Maybe someone out there needs your story as much as you need theirs. And maybe, just maybe, the first step forward is as simple as typing 3 words, "I'm ready." Because sometimes the most powerful thing a man can do is reach out a hand and let someone take it. The ending. The storm will pass. No storm lasts forever. The sky may be heavy tonight, the air thick with memories you can't outrun, but even the darkest clouds move on. Maybe right now you feel hollow. Maybe the thought of loving again feels impossible. That's okay. You don't have to plan the future tonight. You don't have to mend every broken piece. All you have to do is live this one day. Breathe. Let the ache wash through you instead of fighting it. Trust that with every quiet breath, you are inching back toward yourself, even if you can't see it yet. Healing is not a single moment. It's the gentle return of light you didn't think you'd ever feel again. Share this video with a man you know, the one who wears a smile for the world while bleeding quietly inside. Your gesture might be the hand that steadies him through the storm.